Hello, Professor Morgan here, showing you point of view when it comes to writing. There are really three distinct points of view, although the third one is kind of fractured. And so we're going to go through each of these and kind of when it's appropriate to use them and how you can identify different types of points of view when it comes in writing. All right, let's take a look. So the first one is first person. So first person basically is being told from the point of view of the character. Okay, so if you kind of imagine, it's like we're inside this character's head. Okay, so we are this character. Okay, and the story is told from that character's point of view. And here's how we can kind of figure out and identify when a story is written in first person point of view and kind of the rules that go along with it. All right, first of all, it uses I or forms thereof. That means I went to the store, or that is my toy, or over there, you see that car? That's mine. So I, me, my, mine. Whenever it uses those forms, that's an indication that uses first person. Now, in first person, we have to stay inside that main character's head the whole time. Okay? Meaning that we can only feel and experience what the main character feels. We don't know what other people are thinking. Now we can observe. The main character can observe. It's like, I looked at my wife and she seemed upset. Now, I don't know for a fact she's upset unless she said so. I'm just observing, okay? I don't know what's going on inside. I'm not a mind reader. So that's something to keep in mind that's important. So that's first person. So examples of first person. I went to the store. So there's the I. I went to the store. My mom gave me money. So there's the my and there's the me. All right. Jane looked like she was going to kiss me. Now, at first, it's like, oh, well, maybe it's not first person because we're not seeing any of this. But this is told from the person's point of view. From this person's point of view, first person point of view, they are observing that Jane looked like they were going to kiss me. So this is first person point of view. So that's an example of first person. Okay. Now, second person point of view is one of the stranger ones. It's a little weird, and there's a time and a place for it. So, second person uses you. So, instead of being inside the character's head, you're inside really the reader's head. You're telling the reader what they are feeling or thinking and such like that. So, basically, that uses you or forms thereof, like you, your, yourself. Okay, and you stay inside the reader's head the whole time. And seems like, well, that's a little strange, but when would we use this? I'll give you some examples in just a second. Okay, again, you can only feel and experience what the reader feels, not what the character feels, but the reader. And so let's look at some examples of this. Okay, you go upstairs. Okay, not I go upstairs, not Jane go upstairs. You go upstairs. The monster starts to eat you. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, there's you. Okay, not the monster starts to eat me. Not the monster starts to eat Jane. It's you. Okay. You take a bite of the apple and discover it is rotten. Okay, again, there's the you. Now, note, people tend to speak using second form of, using second person when we speak, but it's usually not appropriate to use in most forms of writing. So when would we use second person? Well, I'm old enough that back in the day we had these, and they're still around, these books called basically like Choose Your Own Adventure, where you would like open up the book and it would be like, okay, it is a dark and stormy night. You are walking down a path in a forest. You come to a fork in the road. You can either go left or you can go right. If you go left, go to page 13. If you go right, go to page 16. So you're like, oh, which way am I going to go? Oh, I'm going to go left. I'm going to turn to page 13. So I move over to page 13. You are dead. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. So that's where you would see that. Now, where else do we see that? Often we can see that in video games. Sometimes, even like in first person shooters, it'll be like, you are out of ammo. You are being shot at. You are bleeding out. You are out of, whatever. So this is there is a time and a place to use second person, but generally not in academic writing and generally not in creative writing. There is a time and a place when it's used, but it's not very common. And it actually, an example of when it goes terribly wrong is, again, since I'm an English professor, let's say someone's writing a research paper and they do just a terrible job at it. And at the end of the paper, they say, as you can clearly see. I'm like, no, I don't clearly see. Don't you tell me what I can see and what I can't see, Or for example, let's say they're writing a compare contrast paper of where's the best place to go on vacation, the mountains or the beach, and it's like, oh, you love to go to the beach because you love to hang out on the sand and get a suntan. I'm like, no, I don't. I sunburn. I hate going to the beach. Don't tell me what I like and what I don't like. So even though that's the way we may speak when it comes to writing and using second person, that is problematic at best in academic writing. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to the next one. So third person is actually broken into kind of like two camps. Now, again, I'm being very general in when I do this. Now, for third person, so we've seen first person where the story is told from the character's point of view, and then the second person is told from the reader's point of view. For third person limited, it's actually told from a narrator's point of view, but it's limited in that the narrator, this ghostly figure kind of a thing, can see inside just one character's head. Okay, just one. It's limited to one character's head, and as you'll see, here's kind of the rules behind it. It uses they or forms thereof, like names, okay? So instead of the I or the you, it uses they, them, or the person's names, or even their pronouns, or something like that, okay? It's inside of a head of, if you're writing you're inside of the head of a character that is not you, okay? So, you're not the character, but you're explaining what the character is doing and seeing and feeling and acting. And again, when we use third person limited, we can only feel and experience what the character feels. So the narrator only can tell what that person is seeing, is feeling, and whatever. They don't know what everybody else is doing, okay? They're stuck inside that one person's head, okay? Now, it is possible that there is more than one character. So if you're writing a book, you can have the story told from multiple characters' points of view and still use third person limited. But not usually, there has to be a clear distinction when a change is made. Often this will be a scene break or it can be a chapter break. But if you're going to move from one character's head to another character's head, there needs to be a clear, distinct break of when you're going to do it. And when you move from one person's head to the other person's head, remember that you can only feel and experience and know what that particular character knows at any given time. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Okay. They went to the movies. Not I went to the movies, not you went to the movies. They went to the movies. Okay. Ricky lost Sally's phone number. I didn't lose Sally's phone number. You didn't lose Sally's phone number. Ricky did. At the end of the day, Jane was tired. Okay. I wasn't tired. You weren't tired. Jane was tired. So this is third person. Okay. Someone who's not Jane is letting us know how Jane was feeling. All right. Now, way to remember that it's happening to someone else, and we only can say it's happening to that person. And then the last one is also third person, but it is third person omniscient. Now, in this one, okay, omniscient is basically again, you have a narrator, but the narrator, instead of being stuck inside just one person's head, kind of sees all, knows all, and can see into anyone's head at any given time and knows everything, okay? It uses they or the forms thereof, like names, okay? The term omniscient is basically meaning all-knowing, okay? So it's, the narrator is all-knowing. And they can jump from character to character. They're not limited to just one character, okay? At any given time. And they can know things the characters don't know themselves. For example, they didn't see the dragon swooping towards them. Well, if they didn't see it, who did? Well, the narrator knows that. Bobby would learn later not to drink chunky milk. Well, that's something that would be later in the future. So the omniscient person would know what would happen in the future. But Bobby necessarily wouldn't, okay? Behind Jill was a killer. Well, Jill didn't know. Who does know? The narrator. Okay. And final thought here is, which point of view should be used in a story when you're writing? Well, if you're writing academic papers, it's third person. You use third person. Well, it's not really limited because you're not doing the characters, but you use third person. When you're writing, it really kind of the point of view should be determined on the nature of which story you're kind of telling, and the kind of story, the story itself should dictate what kind of point of view you should use. And that's a story for a whole other day. But that's basically first, second, and third person in the two little split areas. There you go. Enjoy.